Good afternoon and welcome to the County Commissioners meeting today. And we'd like to ask Mr. Tate to lead the prayer and Mr. Brown will do the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your great blessings that you give all of us. God, we thank you for this great nation, our great state, and our county. God, it is again today that we ask that you go with us in our meeting. God, we're asking again that you remind us that it's not about us, but about the people. It's in Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll get started today. I guess we need to excuse Mr. Williams.
Yes, I'll make the motion. We excuse Mr. Williams,
I'll
Mr.
second.
Chairman.
I'll second.
All right.
I think he's out of town today, right?
Yes, he's had a business trip to do, so he's not here today.
Okay.
All right, everybody unanimous? Okay, so I understand that we're going to, the first one, public information, we're going to,
Yes, it'll be next
time?
Monday.
next week.
Next Monday.
Okay.
So item number one will be
Next
tabled
Monday.
till next
Yeah.
Yes,
Monday?
yes. Chairman will be here for that.
Okay. Mr.
Public
Chair,
comment? Okay.
yeah, could we poll the room and see who's here for public comment to see if, since it looks like it's a pretty short agenda, if we could have public comment towards the end, we could give people more time to speak maybe. I mean, it's up to you. That's what-
Yeah, it's fine with me if it's, everybody agree with that?
Is
We're
there
gonna go
anyone,
through this pretty fast.
I'd like to ask the question first, if you don't mind. Is there anyone here tonight that's here for public comment other than, for the items we're going to vote on? Now, I noticed some folks here from Pender Lee that's going to talk about some school issues. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about any items that the board is going to vote on tonight that's on our agenda. Is there anyone here tonight to speak to any of those items? Okay, Mr. Chairman, with that being said, since it looks like most of these folks are here for something else, could we possibly try to push through the agenda as quickly as possible and then let public comment be at the end of the meeting? If that's okay.
Everybody okay? All right, because we're going to go through this pretty fast, the regular agenda. Okay. All right, we'll start with consent agenda. Does anybody have anything you want to pull? A question about?
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, everybody in favor? Okay, unanimous, okay? All right. We'll go down to our resolutions. Resolution 5. Resolution authorizing Rocky Point ISO district proposed changes for Rocky Point substation. Mr. Newman and Collins.
Good morning, gentlemen. The resolution you have before you is basically to move the ISO insurance district. On August 12th of this year, June 12th of this year, the Department of Insurance, Office of State Fire Marshal conducted an inspection of their new substation. That substation was approved pending the approval of this, of the insurance district change. What you're looking at right now is the current fire department and their 6-mile district. Everything within that is a 6 or a 9S.
Mr. Newman, before you continue on, can you just point out where the landmarks on highway so I can know what I'm looking at real quick?
This right here is the Rocky Point station right now.
Okay, so that's 117, the line.
This
that's
is
going
117 right through here,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
excuse me, right there, this is I-40.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, sir.
If I can get it to change. With this new substation that is located right there at 11925 US Highway 117, that right there is their 5-mile area. As you can see, this area here was rated as a Class 10. With approval of this, okay.
Keep going.
But with the approval of this insurance, that line move, all those people down there on Carver Road and all that will go from a 9S and a 10 to a Class 6 within 45 to 60 days of approval of this resolution. Next. Oh, she went the wrong way. Okay, that's good, right there. Basically, if you approve the insurance district, everything in this shaded area, in both of them, the purple and the yellow, will be a Class 6 in the Rocky Point Fire District. So,
That's going to save a lot of folks money on their homeowner's
yes,
policy.
sir. You're going, actually, in a Class 10, you're rated as basically not having fire coverage. So when you go from a 10 to a 6, there's substantial savings.
I live in one of those areas, and back when they did that, it saved me $600 a year on my homeowner's policy. So this is going to be great for the folks in that area. Yeah,
So this is actually the last step of approving that station.
okay. All right.
Basically asking to approve the new insurance district.
I just want to say we've been waiting on this for a couple of years now. This is great. It's going to benefit folks. I'll be glad when we can see the day we can have this county-wide, where
Yes, sir.
everyone in the county can get this kind of protection. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready to entertain a motion, I'll make the motion to approve this item.
Okay, I got one question. The DOT, they're doing the final approval on their driveway? That's what they're waiting on?
They do have a permit they do have the driveway permit, but with the Office of State Fire Marshal Department of Insurance, they went ahead and approved it because they do have access out to 117 at this
All right,
point.
great.
Yeah, I think they have some minor improvements to make, and they've got a certain amount of time to make that happen.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I second Mr. Commissioner Brown.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody? Unanimous? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to resolution number 6. Resolution authorizing approval of purchase orders to election systems and software, ES&S, for voting equipment, leasing, licensing, and support at $32,249.48. Mr. Bowles and Watson, okay.
Yes, what we're trying to do is actually just get the authorization to renew the contract for the maintenance and stuff. That actually gets us federal certification on the equipment and an annual checkup on the equipment.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval if you're ready for a vote.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Unanimous? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
Very
Dennis.
much. Number 7, resolution. Resolution authorizing approval of purchase order for Health Department medical professional liability renewal for fiscal year 2014-2015 at $11,414.93. Mrs. Moser, where's she at? Okay.
This is basically a similar contract that I bring forth every year, renewing our medical malpractice for our employees. So this is our cost for the coming year.
This covers all the needs as far as malpractice for all the
Clinical, it doesn't cover environmental health, but yes.
Okay. Okay.
Anybody have any more questions?
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, need a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you. Like, we like to work fast. Number 8, resolution in support of the transportation project under consideration by the Wilmington Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Advisory Committee. Ms. Frank.
Mr. Chairman, Board, good afternoon. This is a resolution before you. Pender County is one of a 12-member organization that coordinate local transportation projects with the Wilmington Metropolitan Planning Organization. The MPO, in conjunction with the NCDOT Strategic Transportation Investments Program, has developed a new system for prioritizing funding and funding transportation projects under this new Prioritization 3.0. As a part of this new funding prioritization, it is important for the local government to demonstrate adoptions of resolutions supporting these transportation projects. Specifically, we're asking the Pender County Board of Commissioners to demonstrate support for the inclusion of 5 projects located within Pender County in this State Transportation Improvements Plan, referred to as an STIP. This is currently under consideration by the TAC, which Chairman Williams is the representing member. These projects represent an ongoing effort to improve roadway improvements and new bike and ped facilities in Pender County. And I can address any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Do you, Mr. Chairman, do you want to state the individual ones just for the record, for the folks that might be in the room that might be interested, or do you, that's up to you? I just thought I'd make a suggestion for the folks in the room, just to tell them real
Okay.
quick, just what the titles of maybe the 5
The 5
projects
projects are referred to as the Hampstead Bypass, and that's an extension from Porter's Neck Road to Sloop Point Road. SR 644 extension, which is the extension of NC Highway 210 to State Road 1569, or known as Hoover Road. That's the connection from Holiday Drive that will connect 210 through Hoover Road. The U.S. Highway 17 improvements to Onslow County to the Wilmington Bypass. This was the project that the NC Highway 210 Safety Corridor made recommendations for. The Blueberry Road modernization, which would be widening Blueberry Road and adding bike lanes for that facility.
I didn't realize that much traffic when it was on Blueberry Road until I was looking through this. A lot of traffic
That is
takes
considered.
Blueberry Road.
Yes,
And the
sir.
other thing was, I didn't realize there were that many crashes on 17 to the Onslow County line from the Sloop Point area going forward.
Yes, sir.
So,
The last
Good
project.
good projects.
The last one is the NC 210 Island Creek intersection improvement. That's kind of at that triangle where you actually have to make a
Yeah.
left turn to go to Hampstead.
Okay, I just thought it'd be nice for the
Yeah,
folks to
that's
see what the
good.
projects are.
Everybody to know.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody have any
Um,
questions?
I don't.
With that being said, I'll make the motion to approve if you're ready.
All right, second.
Second.
Okay. All right, unanimous? Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you, all right, number 9, just be up here. Resolution adopting Cape Fear Commute's 2035 Long-Range Transportation Plan amendments.
Yes, sir. Again, this is a similar resolution. This will be actually amending the Cape Fear Commute's 2035 Long-Range Transportation Plan. Again, the MPO put this document together in December 15th of 2010. This is a fiscally constrained transportation document, and it's used to satisfy the Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equality Act. Why this is relevant, on July 18th of 2012, the MPO was designated as a transportation management area, or known as a TMA. And with this designation, it allowed the MPO to distribute Surface Transportation Program funds, known as STPDA. And these are federal funds that allow the improvements for bike and ped facilities and intersection improvements. As a requirement, these projects need to be listed in this fiscally constrained plan. Planning staff is requesting that the lowest ranking Pender County bike and ped project in this plan be removed and replaced with a Doral Drive multi-purpose path connection. This would allow connection to the safe routes to school and to Hampstead Kiwanis Park. This project just came to our planning board with a potential connection, so it would be funded privately through the developer. Their open space money would match the federal funds to construct this.
So that's not removing that sidewalk that we,
It wouldn't be removing the sidewalk, it would be removing a potential project that is not funded, and there is no funds available for it. So we actually have somebody that's willing to fund a project, and we want to replace it with that project. We're not going to replace, it will only be replaced in the 2035 plan. Staff will make sure it gets included on a new fiscally constrained plan.
What this is really doing, to sum it up, is changing the priority of 2 projects.
Yes, sir.
It's putting one project ahead of the other because you have funding allocated or designated.
We have a funding source for this where we do not have a
And it's not losing
funding.
a project in Pender County. Both projects are in Pender County.
Both projects are in Pender County, and currently there's no money for either project. So we do have allocations for the potential of the Doral Drive project.
Right, and one's to enhance the safety of that area at Kiwanis Park.
It would allow for further connection to that Safe Routes to School
Right, okay.
project along
Just
Sloop Point Loop Road.
So folks understand what we're talking about
Yeah,
here, you
right.
know, so.
That would
Yeah.
include like a bicycle?
It would be, yes, sir, it would be bicycle and pedestrian.
We're not losing anything, we're just,
It's just kind of rearranging.
it's housekeeping to make
Yes, sir.
sure we get something funded, and we'll continue to look for funding for the other.
Yes, sir. And it will be included on the new transportation plan, the 2040 Cape Fear plan that's coming out.
Okay. Anybody else?
Ms. Frank, is this our first read on this plan?
On the Cape Fear commutes 2035? No, sir, I believe y'all adopted it this spring
Okay.
of, I want to say 2011 is when it.
The material looked very familiar, that's why I was
Yes, sir.
trying to decide.
It's an older plan. It's actually being updated as we speak. It'll be the 2040 plan. I believe that will be available draft format next year, next winter, in 2015.
But they've changed the way they rate the points since that time. I mean, this year, I think, the rating system.
Yes, sir. That's that new prioritization.
Okay.
Okay, and I know Mr. Williams is our representative on that board, the Wilmington MPO.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure he is supporting this. I've not talked to him, but I've had discussion with him in the past on some of these projects, and I believe he's supporting this 100%. So he can't speak for himself, so I'll throw the flag out there for him. He's going to, he will support this. So well, he would probably be, no, he can't make the motion, he would be the chairman. So we're right back to where we were anyhow. So if you're ready for a motion, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion
All
to
right.
approve this
All
item.
right, motion, got a second?
I'll second.
All
Mr.
right.
Williams.
Ready to vote? So unanimous? Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, resolution number 10, resolution authorizing purchase order to Duncan's Paint and Wallpaper Incorporated to power clean, prep, and paint all exterior painted surfaces at the Pender County Courthouse for $41,700. Simmons, and there she is.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Board of Commissioners. I have before you today a resolution authorizing the purchase order to Duncan's Paint and Wallpaper to pressure wash and window clean and paint all exterior surfaces at the courthouse. During our annual inspection of our county buildings, it was apparent that the exterior painted surfaces at the courthouse needed painting to prevent further deterioration. And of course, the scope of work will include repairing, caulking, and resealing all windows before painting and power washing the exterior of the courthouse.
And here what? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I have a question.
Yeah.
This money, is it coming from the fees that the courthouse derives from the courts? Or is this money coming from Pender County?
I can answer that.
Okay.
The money is coming from the county, but the way the court system pays our money monthly, it goes into the general fund.
Okay. All right. Bottom line, it's
Right, it's revolving, so it's not identified, but we get a pretty good substantial check each month.
okay. That's the point I wanted
Right.
to have made today.
Right.
Okay.
So you have what, 3 bids?
Yes, sir. There was 3. Actually, I received 4, but 1 declined.
Ms. Simmons, that's real question, it's probably not gonna affect nothing. Was it local bids or out of the county bids?
It was local.
Like doing business with local folks if we can.
More questions?
I have a question. It's not for Ms. Simmons. It's actually on a note for Mr. Watson. How many dollars do we generate in Pender County from tourism? I'm sorry, from the studios for filming?
From the studios, it varies based on what is going on, and if they're using the courthouse, Clerk of the Court, Kilroy has a flat fee of, how much is it, Pat, you remember?
I'm not really sure.
Like at least $5,000 a minimum
Per day?
per, I think it's per, I think it's just when they show up.
Yeah.
Then they also pay for any overtime
Yeah,
for the sheriff's department and so
Right.
forth.
I think they have to have a maintenance person there and a deputy or something of that nature, and they have to pay for that.
Right, but I may be wrong on the dollar amount.
I think that may be high.
Right.
But when it came up last summer, in fact, the film that's coming out soon, Tammy, was being filmed here, and we came up with sort of a standard form to be used, because it needs to coordinate through the clerk, so it doesn't interfere with court activities, but the courthouse is county property, and the clerk is a state official, so we worked
Right.
it out so that it would be handled, he would handle the coordination, but obviously the monies need to come here. And one item, as Mr. Watson was saying, is there are deputies that are required so that we don't have film people telling our citizens about what they can and can't do at the courthouse. We let the deputies handle that, so there's no friction, or hopefully we reduce the friction, because it can be an issue.
If I'm not mistaken, a couple of months ago, Mr. Kilroy came in here with the document,
Yeah,
the generic document that he's going to use for that.
I believe so,
And,
yes, sir.
And he made it clear then that he uses, I think, our maintenance
Correct.
is on
Yes,
site
sir.
during all of this, and they pay for that,
Yes, sir.
and or they reimburse us for that, and also the sheriff's department, that we have a presence
Yes.
from someone with the sheriff's department. So he's been very thorough in the way he's tried to handle this. I know our drapes got replaced in the courthouse. What was it, about $20,000-$30,000
Yeah.
worth of drapes?
And the sidewalks, what did he pay for that?
Yeah, I mean, they paid for a lot of things, so.
Mr. McCoy, actually, the sidewalks were covered through
Yeah,
Public Works
okay.
last fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition, Commissioner, anytime they have pyrotechnics there, the fire marshal has to be on site.
I understand the logistics. I'm speaking to how much money that's
Right.
collected. That's what I'm trying to find out. What was the amount of monies that we generated from
If
the
you-
film industry last year?
I will be glad to send you an email, check on that.
I mean, the total?
The total amount, which I think is a wonderful, I think it's wonderful that anytime we get that exposure for the county as a whole. But I'm just wondering how many dollars would that equate to that comes back to the county from the film industry?
Okay.
Good question.
And then the second thing is, any damage that's done to the courthouse, do they replace that themselves, or are we responsible for that once they sign the waiver?
Usually, if there's anything that his damage is done by the movie studio people, they usually cover that expense. We haven't, Public Works has not had to cover any damages that's done, and it's usually just minor. There's nothing really major.
I would say this, they actually placed the building on fire, and the next day it was still standing good. So to answer that question.
Inside.
Mr. Attorney, is that not part of the agreement? If they
Yes,
damage
they take it
anything, they have to
They
pay
have
for
to,
that?
they have to restore it to its
Yeah.
condition, yes, sir.
Okay.
And for each day they haven't restored it, we charge them a fee. So, to help encourage them to do it quickly.
I know some of the sidewalks are cracked. I don't know if they did that or somebody else.
I don't know.
Go get them, Fred.
I walk there about every night.
That's good, Fred.
Mr. Chair, if you're ready for a motion, I'll make that motion.
Okay, a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along, number 12.
Number 11.
I'm sorry. Did I miss
You're getting in a hurry.
one? Okay, here, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, I wasn't correcting you. I just wanted to make sure we covered all of them.
Sorry about that, Sheriff, okay?
That's fine. I think I got both of them.
All right, number 11, resolution authorizing issuance of purchase orders to Motorola Solutions for radio programming associated with Viper T25 migration at $12,000.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, just really to give you a brief thing about what's happening, actually started today. The state is switching the Viper system. You all know what the Viper is. Pender County is one of the counties that we have all of our emergency services on the state Viper network, and it works very, very well for us. They, several years ago, they knew at some point they were going to have to switch the technology over to what they call P25, and that is upon us now. They started in the mountains today. It's going to take about 2 weeks for them to switch all the towers over. It's been quite a challenge, I guess, for us, all the counties that have a lot, if not all, of their emergency services on Viper. We had to prepare for that. We've been doing it for the past several months. They will switch the towers in this area next Tuesday. Excuse me, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Yeah, I was right. The 24th. We've had to do a lot of logistics. Mobiles and portables, when they switch over, will not work unless we've already pre-program them. So we've had to take basically half our radios and pre-program them, and everybody's sort of sharing stuff right now. And then after next week, we'll be able to start the programming, what this resolution is about. We'll be able to start programming the other half, and then hopefully in about 30 days, we'll be all back to normal. We'll have a system that will be much more capable as far as how many talk groups we can have, how many units can be on the system at one time. But it's something we didn't have a choice. The state was doing it, and once they flip that switch, we're not talking to anybody unless we've done this. What I'm asking for here, the 15 or 16 or so public service agencies in the county, instead of everybody trying to do their own thing and coordinate with Motorola to get their stuff programmed, what we've asked to do, there was some funds left over in the Forest Service Protection line item. We're asking to take $12,000 of what was left over. It was budgeted, but it hasn't been spent. And that's basically emergency services money there. To take that money and just to do, have the sheriff's office just coordinate the changeover for everything, and have Motorola come in under one contract and just reprogram everything and have it done. It's something we have to do. I think it's easier if it's sort of coordinated by one agency, and we've really coordinated the first part of this anyway. So what we're asking to do, instead of everybody trying to find funds here and there over, like I said, 16 or so different emergency services agencies, just use that surplus, $12,000. We enter one contract with Motorola. They come in after the 24th, and they get all radios like they should be.
Is Duplin County and Australia County is all on that Viper now, or is it just?
Most of the counties have something on Viper. All the counties are going to be, hopefully, where they can use it. One of the things Viper has, there are 32, they used to call them channels, now they're called talk groups because frequencies rotate. There are 32 talk groups that when they're done, every emergency service worker in the state hopes to have. Whether they have their primary dispatch on Viper or not, it doesn't matter. That no matter what happens in the state, you can get one of those 32 channels or multiple channels if it's a big event, and anybody responding will go in their radio and be able to switch over to that talk group and be able to talk with them. We, like I said, have all our law, fire, EMS, Forest Service, the state agencies. In Pender County, we are all Viper. Other counties may just have their law enforcement Viper. One county may have an EMS that's on Viper, and then some counties are not on it. But we're really fully integrated with the Viper system.
Everything I hear about is a really good system.
It has been for us. You know, for the county to put in a system like that, it would have been over $10-20 million. We basically did not have to pay for any of the infrastructure. We just had to buy the radios to get on the system with. There's about 7 towers that actually are used by us. 2 of them are in Pender. The other 5 surround the county. And then, as you know, we're looking at the one dead spot we had on the southeast part of the county. We're looking at being able to put a tower up over there, hopefully in the fall. Right.
Anybody have any questions?
What will happen to the existing radios? Will it have any impact at all?
Which part? Of the P25 migration?
When we migrate.
Okay, the radios are fine, but they won't talk unless they're reprogrammed. They have to have new firmware put in them, and then they have to be reprogrammed before they'll talk on the new system. It's not a new system. The state's just putting new equipment in existing sites. But when they do that next Tuesday, we won't be able to talk until we've had our radios reprogrammed.
But folks who have the old version, they would still be able to hear, but just not be able to talk. Is that correct?
Yeah, when I say talk, I actually mean both ways.
Okay, both
ways. Yeah, no, they
ways.
cannot hear or talk.
So they
That's
need to
my
bring
fault.
them back in and get them reprogrammed.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
correct? Thank you.
Most of the agencies have had to put some money up on the front end of it for the flashes, the firmware flash. This is just we got to touch them one more time. We got to clean them up, and it'd just be easy if we could just do this one motion, one agency handle it. And again, it was surplus money in that line, but it's basically for public safety anyway.
And Sheriff, I'm going to ask the question out of certainly my ignorance here with the system. How would will it have any effect, and maybe I'm thinking about 911 communication system, but will it have any effect on county, those services that we provide in collaboration with nearby counties? So if, for example, in my district, Wallace provides a service into that area. Will it have any impact? Will there be an ability to be able to receive calls or not, or be able to communicate?
Actually, that's a good time for me to bring this up. We're actually activating our emergency operations center that day. next Tuesday. It's going to be operational for a minimum of 24 hours, just in case we have problems with emergency agencies being able to communicate with each other. We think we've taken care of pretty much everything, but I guess I'm a little paranoid, and I just want to be sure that if something happens during that first 24-hour switchover, that we're on top of it. We've got people sitting in a room that can handle it very quickly. The agencies that are outside of the county that handle calls into Pender County, basically New Hanover County and Wallace, they all are well aware. They all have made provisions to work. Their stuff's going to work after the switchover.
Okay.
Any more questions?
It's a good question, though.
It was.
Yeah, 'cause we've
Think about that.
We've had a communication issue in the past. I haven't heard in the last several months, but in the past, I'm aware of that. So I'm certainly appreciative of you reaching out to include them as part of that training.
Well, yeah, they cover folks in this county. We're going to be sure they're part of it.
Certainly.
You ready for a motion?
You ready?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right. Unanimous, thank you. Okay, continue on with the sheriff's department here. Resolution 12, resolution amending the FY 13-14 budget ordinance, authorizing additional funding for jail contract detentions in the amount of $100,000, and authorizing an increase in the purchase order to Onslow County for contract detention at $100,000.
And Mr. Chairman, not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is about the third time we've heard this. You understand what the problem is. We believe will be the last time we have to come ask for money. We knew each other time we were taken out of contingency, sort of where it's been coming out of, and we knew, especially the last time, I knew we weren't going to get through. I knew we still probably had a few months left. But it looks like 100,000 more additional to get us through June 30 for our contract detention, paying to have the prisoners kept in other jails. This 100,000 also came out of contingency, which means that we've probably got the contingency fund down pretty low, but it has been able to, I think, handle everything up to now. So we knew this going in, and I think Mickey had that big contingency, and he's worked it because, you know, if we need it, we need it. If we don't, we don't. But it turns out that the demand has not gone down, and we have had to keep the amount of prisoners in other counties that we thought we would have to.
Would that take us up to 700 or 800?
Somewhere in that range.
That's about 7, I think.
7, 8, 27, 800.
Any more questions?
What are other counties spending? For example, like
Other counties making money.
Well, Sampson is, but every county don't have a jail, a new jail.
Correct.
colony.
Onslow County is making bed space available. Sampson County is making bed space available. New Hanover is just about got all they can handle. Brunswick, we had had a few in Brunswick. I've still got 5 in New Hanover now. I think I've got 32 in Onslow. So it depends. You know, the counties that have just built a jail within the past 4 or 5 years normally will have a little space, and the ones that haven't built a jail in a while won't. And so I don't know of any other county around here that's spending as much as we are. I think, and it's sort of, you know, you look 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, there's going to be some county that's going to be crowded, and it's our turn, and we're here, and of course we're trying to do something about that too.
And we're a fast-growing county too. That makes a big difference. Okay. Any other questions? So that brings the total to how much this year would cost us?
Between 7 and 800,000.
Okay.
We're in the wrong business.
Okay. Any more questions? Your motion?
Lord, I hate to make a motion on that, but we're going to have to put them somewhere. Make a motion, Mr. Chair.
All right. Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Unanimous? Thank you.
Don't take it personal. It's just nothing you want to pay for. You
I
know?
understand.
It's not something.
You said-
I know.
If we had Alcatraz close by on the island, we'd put them over there or something.
You mentioned you're in the wrong business, but we may be about to get in that business. Build a jail, might be able to do something with the extra
Yeah.
space. Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we go to appointments. Item number 13, resolution authorizing approval appointments to the Pender County ABC Board, Coastal Care Area Board, and the Pender County Social Services Board. Do we want to do these today? or not?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question. Is Don Hall in the room today? Did he make it back? Okay, I know he was in Raleigh and he was gonna try to make it back. And he had sent word that he is asking for these two folks to be reappointed to the ABC board. And, it looks like they're the only ones that actually, the
They
ABC
are-
board, the
all
two for the
these
ABC board.
People on here are all reappointments,
Right.
and they are the only ones that applied to.
The two ABC boards. What I'm
Yes.
getting around to is, can we just handle those two together as one motion for the ABC board, Mr. Attorney?
Well, it's four of them, no?
I was just gonna group the ABC board folks together, if that's okay. If you're ready for a motion, I'll make the motion to reappoint these two individuals to the ABC board.
Okay.
Okay.
A second?
Second.
All for it. That's unanimous.
Okay. And now, Mr. Hall is the only one that's
Yes.
applied, and he wants to be reappointed to the Coastal Care. Coastal Care. Thank you, ma'am. So unless there's some discussion on that, I'll go ahead and make the motion to appoint him to, back to Coastal, reappoint him to Coastal
All
Care.
right, got a second?
Second.
Okay. Unanimous, thank you.
And I do have a question. Huh? I do have a question about the Social Services Board. Were there two positions or just one?
There were two.
There were? So was it about reappointment or appointing someone new?
It's two reappointments. The other one didn't apply yet.
Okay. All right, because I thought I saw that. I thought I saw where it looked like two appointments, reappointments were there, but only one person is reapplying for appointment.
At this time,
I'm sorry. I've been out of town this weekend, I'm sorry. Can I see your?
Yeah. Right here on item 13, if you go to 13, I noticed where it looks like two appointed, two for the, is he? Well, we can put this on the next agenda then? Can we do that?
what?
I mean, for someone who wants to apply?
For the next time, he will be applying for it. But this lady can be reappointed now
So reappointments have to do a new application process as
for
well?
for this board, yes. Because they combine, so their rules change.
Could I ask for a little indulgence here? What I'd really like to know, I'd like to get some feedback from Raleigh as to what our requirements are now that they're an advisory role rather than the board member like they used to be. Board of Health members and Department of Social Services are now advisory board members. There are still some requirements by the state that still go along with those appointments. Could we get some clarification on those things and table this particular vote until next Monday? Could we do that?
Sure.
I've got some questions I want to ask because what I'm talking about is because we combined everything under Health and Human Services, the law does have some requirements for us as far as Board of Health members and Department of Social Services. Now, you don't even have to have a DSS advisory board, but I think it's a good idea. And so what I'd like to do is find out from the state, maybe the School of Government, whoever it is with the legal Department of School of Government or whatever that can tell us what the criteria is. Is it still the same criteria that we used to have for DSS board members? I know the criteria did not change for the health board members. It's made up the same way. You follow what I'm saying? Board of Health, the way it's made up, it's got the same requirements.
Right.
And we have to have a Board of Health, advisory board. By law, we have to have that, even though we've restructured. For DSS, what I'd like to know has the criteria changed from the amount of folks we have on that board? You know? So what I would like to do is get some clarification on some of those points and maybe cover this in the next meeting. Could we table this item to the next meeting?
What, the next Monday?
Well, next Monday will be fine, but I know that her time runs out at the end of the month, and they need to be reappointed before the end of the month. So maybe this is an item we need to at least have on the next agenda, which will be next Monday.
Yeah, we're gonna meet next Monday.
Is that okay with you all?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Brown, the concern that I have is, of course, I want to make sure that whoever's serving on that board, DSS board, is that we do have representation from our district on the board.
And that's,
I
I think we can cover that by tabling this to the next time to make sure that those people have an opportunity to put in their application. Because I didn't realize they had to reapply as a reappointment, but I guess they do.
I have no problem moving in, I can wait, but I have no problem moving with Ms. Spencer. I think that's the name. I just needed to see the packet. I didn't have my packet directly in front of me.
The only reason I don't want to move with a vote on this for right now is because I know some things have changed in Raleigh is because we've restructured. I'd like to see what has changed exactly, and then make that appointment next week, if that's okay.
As long as you all let me have some representation from our district.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's not about keeping representation. Actually, this needs to happen next week anyhow to make sure we have your representation. Correct?
Yeah, we definitely want to have somebody
Okay.
representing.
That's one reason I'm doing this. I want to make sure your area does have representation.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so if we could just table this item, do you need just a nod?
Make a motion for that, or just?
I think it just tabled the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Is that everything? Now we'll go back to public comment.
I guess so. But
I'd like to limit the time, maybe 3 minutes each one that's going to speak. We can do that, can't we?
Yes, sir.
Because this is going to take a long time. And so you first one,
Angela Perry.
Good afternoon. I am Angela Perry. I am a 29-year employee of the Pender County School System, 27 of those years spent at Penderley School. I am here to address the issue of Penderley School being changed to a K-5. Several of the comments made by the board last week I would like to address. The first one...
Excuse me, could I ask you a question,
Yes, you
please?
may.
The comments made by the board, are you talking about the
Board of Education.
Board of
Let me
Education?
clarify.
Okay, I just want
Board
to...
of Ed, it's fine.
okay.
No problem. Good
Okay.
call.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
before you start, let me ask this question. I meant to call staff and ask this when I heard that folks were coming today. Have anybody from the Board of Ed been notified of the public concern tonight and possibly alerted to be here tonight? Because they may have questions that we as a board don't know yet an answer to.
I'm not sure staff probably knew about a lot of these folks.
I
coming in.
knew when I walked in today that the room was full. I did not know anyone was coming. Now, I know last week's meeting, Commissioner Tate, the Board of Education, and some of the concerned citizens had some discussions after we left in this room.
And Commissioner Tate, I stayed and I thought was going to be brief, and I think we were here for about 45 minutes after the conclusion of the meeting last time, and some of the Board of Education members, I think, were made aware, shall we say, of concerns from the community and employees who were, they were very polite and very respectful, but they were also very clear about their concerns. I don't know that anyone advised them to be here today. I'm not sure that they would want to be here today.
Well, I understand that. I understand that. My question is there any way that you can call the superintendent office and extend an invitation to her to be here tonight, that we have had folks that show up tonight that's very concerned, and extend it? I want to act a little bit differently than they have behaved to us.
I will be glad to
And I
do
want
that
to
right now.
ask,
Thank you.
extend an
That was
opportunity for them to
well
join
said.
us.
This doesn't count as part of my 3 minutes, does it?
No, ma'am.
I want my 3 minutes. Okay, let me go.
Sure.
Good?
You can proceed.
Okay. One of the concerns brought up by the Board of Education was that our students were entering high school unprepared. That comment was made. And I wanted to let you to be aware that there were 14 marshals at this year's graduation, of which they have the highest GPAs in their class. 7 of those marshals came from Penderley School. Now, a concern was also raised that we weren't offering enough sports and activities.
I got to ask you this. I'm sorry. Let's stop the time for just a second.
I want my minute.
Say that again. What you just said that they and folks, I'm sorry. I was not here for the meeting
fine.
last Thursday, and I'll tell you why. I went to my son's ball game because this school board should have been here before last Thursday to take care of this business.
Yes.
So, I apologize for not being here, but sometimes, tell me again
Okay.
exactly what you just
The
said.
comment was made that our middle school students were entering high school unprepared. And 7 of the 14 marshals at Pender High came from Penderley School this year.
It sounds like they were prepared.
I would say so.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was also stated that we offer fewer clubs and sports because of being small middle schools. We offer cheerleading, soccer, softball, volleyball, football, girls basketball, boys basketball, baseball, which is what the high school offers except for track. We also offer a band with a modified marching band at Penderley, a flag team, an elementary honor society, a middle school beta club, elementary science olympiad, middle school science olympiad, yearbook, middle school battle of the books, girls on track for junior high, and an annual talent show that all students can compete in. I think we do a pretty good job. Also on that note, if we are not being successful as a K-8 school, we had 115 transfers last year from other schools in the county, and at this count, we have 90, and the transfers have not finished coming in yet. Everybody wants to come to Penderley School. Okay? Now, on a personal note, I have a 24-year-old who attended Penderley School and graduated Pender High. She is now employed on the 10th floor of New Hanover Hospital. I'm very proud of her. I think we prepared her well. We taught Mr. Tate. I think we did a good job.
That deserves a round of applause,
Yeah.
commissioners. Come on. That's right.
But I also have a 12-year-old daughter who is a child with a disability. My 12-year-old has Down syndrome. Excuse me if I get emotional. It takes a community to raise a child, but it takes a special community to take care of a child with a disability. My daughter attends Penderley School, and I know on days that I am not there, everyone at that school looks out for her. From Miss Kavanaugh and Miss Hafey and Miss Mintz in the 8th grade, right down to Miss Briggs and Miss Trito in kindergarten. They all know where she's supposed to be and what she should and should not be doing, and I can trust them to look after her. I cannot trust another school, and I will be retiring this year. I cannot trust another school to watch my baby. And my child is entitled to a free and appropriate public education by law, and appropriate for her is Penderley School for 7th and 8th grade. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask a question if I can. Mr. Attorney, let me ask Ms. Perry a question, please. She was Icon when she taught me. I'm aware that I'm told that the school board had a meeting. I personally don't remember being invited to that meeting. But they want to convince me that I was invited, but I do not remember being invited to the meeting. My question to you is, were you invited to the community meeting that I understand that they had?
No.
Okay. I want to find out how many folks was invited and who were not invited and who was invited. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tony Gideons, I'm sorry.
Would you ask for a show of hands for the folks that were invited?
Yeah, a show of hands. How many? I'm just curious. The school board has let us know. I've heard many times that the community was invited to the meetings. Just stand up. Let me see how many people. If everybody's here today, how many of you all were invited to that meeting? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ms. Kavanaugh, you did teach me how to count. 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. That's right.
How many are staff members of the school?
Well, that's half of the teachers, okay? Thank you.
What I was concerned about was knowing how many public citizens were invited to this type of meeting.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that as well.
Okay, state your name.
Tony Gideons, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm not a public speaker. Can I pull that down? I'm sorry. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not very eloquent, but I am a mom. My oldest child is 19. She goes to James Brunt Community College.
Hey, hooray!
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
she was number 5 in her graduating class. She graduated with a 4.0 grade point average.
Wonderful,
Her entire career was spent at Pender Lee.
wonderful.
I truly believe they molded my child. Now, I'm also a late life mother. We adopted a little girl. She's now 8. She came from being addicted to crack cocaine. We were terrified to put her in school because of the things that she saw as a small child. My child has flourished so much. She is an A-B student. From kindergarten to 8th grade, know my baby when she comes in, and she knows them. They're family. This isn't about one school being better than another. This is about family. I live in the Pender Lee community. My husband was raised in the Pender Lee community. My youngest child is 4. She starts this July. I don't really think that people who aren't a part of our community truly understand what it means to be a part of Pender Lee. It's family. I don't care if you're a new person. I don't care what color you are. We are all family.
Very true.
I can see children. I used to sub when my oldest child went to Pender Lee. I still have babies, well, they're not babies anymore, they're great big boys now, who run up, Miss Gideons, do you remember teaching me at Pender Lee? I just wish that the Board of Education would have took just as much concern as y'all are taking today. It would have been nice to have been including in what, because there's so many rumors going around. We don't know what's fact, what's fiction. We just know that it's very important, I think, to keep these K through 8th graders together. I think it's a family. Like I said, my babies know Aunt Donna, that's Donna Mintz. They know Aunt Angela, that's Miss Perry. And it's not because I hang out with these teachers after work. That doesn't happen. It's a family at school. And I hope that maybe y'all can possibly sway the Board of Education to listen to us parents. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Tony Mussolino.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Anthony Mussolino, and I live in Hampstead. I am a member of the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 885 in Wilmington. Our chapter covers Pender County, New Hanover, and Brunswick County. Our national headquarters with the Congress of the United States has decided that we would start looking at the problems that Agent Orange caused the Vietnam veterans. Now, a lot of people say Vietnam was there and we were all bad guys and the rest of it. But we have children and grandchildren who are suffering because we were there. We were sprayed with Agent Orange and 15 other herbicides that got in our system, and when we came home and had children, our children were deformed, our children were mentally wrong, and our grandchildren are the same way. On the 29th of January, or 29th of June, we are going to hold an open house town hall meeting in which we want to tell the people of this area what can happen and what will happen to the children of Vietnam veterans. As a side note, I have one friend who has a 28-year-old daughter. She's the smartest person you will ever meet. You can put a computer in front of her and tell her it doesn't work, and she will methodically take that computer apart piece by piece and put it back together, and it'll be better than when it was bought. When she's done, she'll sit right there and look at you, and you say, well, why don't you go home? And her answer is, I don't know how. Once you take her out to her car, you explain to her, this is your car, that's your Garmin, that's going to take you home. And she'll follow that till she gets to her house. The parents, the people that send her there will call her mother or father and say she's on her way. When she gets to the point that she stops with the Garmin, the mother or father picks her up and takes her in the house. She's only one that I'm telling you about, but there's hundreds of thousands of us that have children like that. Now, I do not. My children were raised before I went to Vietnam. But the problem is not only here in Pender County, it's in New Hanover, Brunswick County, and every county in North Carolina, and every county in the United States. We have to get the word out to everyone that if my child, and I'll use me, my child has a problem, that child has a child, and that child will have a problem. And we have one great-grandchild that was born in New Hanover County within the last 3 weeks who came out with a bulge on the side of his head and 2 extra sets of ears. The child is now in Duke, and they're trying to see what they can do to fix it. That's what the herbicides did, and that's what the herbicides do. What we're trying to do is get Congress, they have a House bill and a Senate bill that will give credence to taking care and helping those of us that are still here to take care of those kids. Now, the Senate bill says Vietnam children. They include the children in Vietnam as well. They have a more horrific problem than we do because they're still living in Agent Orange and all those herbicides. Our people still have it, and they will have it again. In 1994, the Veterans Administration charged the Ford Foundation to find out how long it would be before the herbicide problems from Vietnam subsided or went away. The Ford Foundation came up with one big statement: don't wait until they die, because they never will. That means this will go on and on. So, and somehow or other, the system got into our system, we passed it on to our children, and our children are passing it on to theirs. Now, as I said, we're holding this town hall meeting June 28th at the Elks Lodge in Wilmington. We're going to have people there. We'll show people what Agent Orange is, what it does, and we're going to ask the people there to support us in getting the Congress and the Senate to turn around and say, when we're gone, somebody will take care of those children. Because right now, if my friend and his wife dies and that girl doesn't know where to go because nobody's telling her and nobody's helping her, and we're trying to get the government to move in for that. When you get a chance, I could have the girl in here show you a 3-minute slide program of what happens to the children and how it happens. But if you can't see it, go to www.ourkidscomefirst. You gentlemen all have a packet like this in front of you, and look at it, and it will show you that the difference between a Vietnam veteran and a veteran of any other war. When the First World War people came home, they had children that were normal. Second World War came home, they had children that was normal. Korean children came home, they were normal. Vietnam people came home, and 8 out of 10 of our children are not normal. They have some type of defect. There's children that are 3 and 4 weeks old that apparently have kidney cancer, lung cancer, prostate cancer, and 2 or 3 of them are being tested for diabetes. All of the things that are caused by Agent Orange. Now, I ask that as you move around your counties and go around, would you please tell people about our meeting on the 28th of June? Thank you.
Ms. Marceline, quick question.
Say it again, Chester.
I see the date that you have in here is June the 28th. Do you think you all are going to have another opportunity time closer by, or is this the only one that y'all could fit in y'all schedule?
I can't understand you because I'm deaf. But go ahead, say it loud.
Do you think there's another time that you all going to have another town meeting or somewhere like in the Hampstead area? I know you're from Hampstead, and I know this is in Wilmington. Is there another time you all going to have this, or this is the only time that y'all was able to put it together?
The way we've started this is there's going to be 6 town hall meetings specifically organized by the Vietnam Veterans of America. Chapter 885, which is in Wilmington and covers this area. We have people that will come to any place at any time in Pender County, Brunswick, or New Hanover, or other counties and talk about this to them. We know this for a fact. How many of you know Vietnam veterans, and how many of you have been told what happened to us in Vietnam? How many have talked about Vietnam? And how many of you know the children of Vietnam veterans and nobody says much about them? I talked to one pastor over in Hampstead. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he told me, he says, I have 70 people in my congregation. I'm the only one that was in Vietnam. And he's been with that chapter or church for about 7 years. I asked him to ask, and he did. And he was surprised. 40 of the people in his chapter, in his church, had been in Vietnam. Then he asked one other question. How many of you have children with disabilities? Only one raised their hand. And then somebody else said, well, you know, and they got going. And of the 40, 28 of them had children with disabilities. One of them was a young man about 17 years old who should be playing basketball or football. He took his shoe off, and there is no extension from the ankle. In other words, he has no toes, and there's a growth thing there. That's why it is, and this is what happens to Vietnam veterans and their children. What we need to know is what's going to happen to our children when we're dead.
Thank you very much. I'm a veteran also. I really, this gets to my heart. I know some friends of mine that went through Agent Orange and what it's done to them. I really appreciate your comments.
Well, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to say anything because when we came home, we got hit in the face. Now everybody is saying, never again will we leave another veteran behind. You look and see who started that. We did. We are now the caretakers and the assisters for the Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Balkan Wars and the Desert Storm. Those people have no organization, and we're helping them with the VA. And may God bless us all for having to work with the VA.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mussolini.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say real quick, I saw Tony a few weeks ago in Hampstead, and I knew he was trying to get out and get the word out. I thought this would be a good format to use, maybe we had some folks in the room with the media. Do everything we can to help him.
I left some brochures and stuff out there.
Right, do everything we can to help him so that people will be aware when this meeting is going to take place, because I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
And I ask you, if you get a chance, go to that website and look at it. Your girl inside has it ready if you want to look at it now. And she said it'd take about 3 minutes.
Okay.
It's up to you all. She said it's up to you if you want to look at it. If not, please look at it when you get home. It's www.ourkidscomefirst, all one word, .us. And that's important. Look at it, and you'll see why we need the help from the government to take care of the kids whose parents or grandparents were in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bailey Gideons.
Good afternoon. My name is Bailey Gideons. I am a graduate of Penderley Elementary School. I attended there K through 8 years. In 7th grade, I was a marshal because my grades were higher enough for 8th grade graduation. 8th grade, I graduated full A's. My whole school career, I graduated with all A's. I never had a single B. Before I entered Pender High School, my 8th grade year, they had several events where Pender High representatives came to us to tell us about their school, what we were to expect. When I started Pender High, I was fully prepared because it has came to my attention that the Board of Education stated that we were not fully prepared for our high school career. I graduated Pender High with never receiving a letter marked below an A. I graduated with a 4.0 grade point average. I finished Pender High School 5th in my class. Never once was I scared or felt that I was unprepared. I am now attending James Brunt Community College for my
Hooray! Thank you.
for my second semester. My first semester I graduated, or I did not graduate, but I finished on the dean's list. The what kept me from president's list was one high B. But never once in anything in my education have I felt unprepared. As my mother stated earlier, Penderley was and still is my family. Anything I have ever needed from anybody, I have been able to go to my Aunt Donna or my Aunt Angela. Never have I had to feel like if there was something I need, I could go to them at this very moment and they would be there for me. Penderley is a family, and to separate a family is one of the hardest things to do to kids, and that is what this would be doing. You would be separating a family, and it would be, in my opinion, traumatic for the kids.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
June Robbins.
Mr. Attorney, while Ms. Robbins is coming, let me make sure I'm understanding something correctly. Did I hear it stated that that the Board of Ed made the comment that Penderley students were not prepared for high school?
It was all middle school. All middle school across the county, or
All middle school students across the county, or small middle school students? I need to get that statement right, so when I go before you, Mr. Townsend, because I'm going back to the news again and condemn the decision our Board of Education made. And I understand that from our interim attorney that the superintendent cannot join us. I believe she's at a party. Is that right? What did you say?
They're preparing for a retirement party.
Oh, we're preparing for some type of party. I heard party, so I want to make sure I have the facts right here that you said. Continue.
Has anyone by any chance asked for what they're basing that statement on? I mean, the information do they have information? Have they provided you all with information that would support that kind of statement?
I can tell you what they said.
Okay, what do they? Okay, could you could answer that question for me?
Thank you for letting me speak. I don't need that anyway. I come here as a educator, as a parent, but as a concern about what's true and what's not. Last Thursday, several of us were here listening to the Board of Education present the bond. Different areas of the county are going to benefit from another bond. Penderley has been on a bond before. This is another Penderley part of a bond. My concern is that the Board of Education says the decision for Penderley is for the children. That it's a decision that's better for the children. I argue that it's numbers. It's not better for the children. I want you to see who's out here. I want you to look. I'm specifically looking at two in the back. One of them works in the school system. She's on her way to teach at Cape Fear Community College right now. She's a product of a small school. Another one does a lot of traveling for the Mad Boar. She's a product of a small school. Other children here are products of a small school. So what is better for the children? I argue that it's numbers. You close down the smallest middle school, you split them into two groups, and you send one to Burgaw Middle to boost the numbers. And you send one to West Pender, and you boost the numbers. Another argument that was given last Thursday night was more electives. Now, this semester, I've had the honor to work at Cape Fear Middle School as an assistant principal. I've been there all semester. It is one of the schools on the school bond that is going to be expanded because it's at capacity. 552 are in that middle school, but gentlemen, there are no more electives in that 552 than what Penderley offers in their 120-member middle school. You've got your basics, you have your computer, you have your band, you have your art, and you have your PE. Those are the basic electives. I'm also worried about the culture. You've heard Bailey talk about family. You've heard her mom talk about family. How many times have I been to a meeting where I am listening to someone from DPI, Department of Public Instruction,
That's a bad taste, please.
and they talk about educating the total child. Great. Penderley's doing it. In 1975, Penderley lost its high school, a high school that had been there since 1938. Took a few years to get used to a different culture. 39 years later, we have another school board that says we cannot support small middle schools. In 1975, it was small high schools. So Atkinson, Burgall, and Penderley High School formed Pender High. That's one way of dealing with small high schools. But a culture wasn't completely split in two. Penderley did go to Pender High. Penderley, since 1975, has melted with Atkinson and Burgall, even though Burgall thought Penderley still didn't have lights in the backwoods. But with this particular split, you are taking middle schoolers from a very nurturing culture, and you're completely splitting them in two. They're not going to be able to follow each other. Part of them will go to West Pender, to one culture, and I was principal there, so I know it's a different culture. And the other part's going to go to Burgall Middle. I taught there for 5 years. That's a totally different culture. But within that, you're not going to allow, or the school board does not want to allow, the children to stay together. They will be split. I want you to look here. We talk about history, we talk about bricks and mortar, we talk about the look of Penderley. That's not the history we're talking about today. This is the history. This is your history. Young families come back so their children can go to where they went. There's not many schools in this county that can say that. Lots of times I deal with parents all the time, and of course my job was the 3 Bs, bad boys and buses.
That's why she dealt with me when I was in school. I talked about you today earlier at work in the workshop, actually.
Many, many times a parent will come to me and say, obviously be upset. Situation's probably not pleasant. We try to make it pleasant at the end. But lots of times these parents come in with an attitude because they didn't have a good experience in school. Lots of times they transfer that experience over to their children. You don't see that here. Was every day at Penderley bright and shiny? No. Did somebody go to school that day with a headache? Yes. And I was privileged to be out there about 15 years. But taking away the middle school will absolutely break the back of this community. You really don't realize, and if you don't live in the community, you wouldn't know. But you don't realize how many people go to a ball game when there's a ball game at the ball field and they don't have anybody playing. They just like to look at ball. Or how many people go to a band concert, and if you've ever listened to Robbie Anderson's 6th through the 8th, he's absolutely phenomenal. And Penderley at one time was the only marching band in the Azalea Parade.
I remember.
That stemmed from us, from this particular culture. And whether you agree with graduation at Penderley or not for the 8th grade, we've done it over 20 years. It is probably one of the nicest PR moves that we ever do. We're asking today as a group, we're not ready for the bond yet because Penderley's not put on it correctly. We're not against the bond, but we're not ready because Penderley cannot be a K-5. It has got to maintain the history and the culture of a K-8. And by the way, I hope that the Board of Education is getting these minutes, right?
We're live.
Trust me, I find out.
They're watching.
They watch them.
Very
Every one of
good.
them watching. I know one or two that will sit through and watch this entire movie just to see what I'll say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Harry Teachy.
While he's coming up, can either, or Mr. Tate, you might answer that question. How many enrollment over there at Penderley?
What is our ADM at Penderley? Is it 5?
578 last day of school.
578.
Harry Teachy.
What was the first name again?
Harry?
Harry?
Yes.
I just like keep a tally of who's talking. And
Right,
you know, so
okay.
I'm not- okay.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm a lifer at Penderley. I graduated from Penderley, not with the honors that young lady did back there. Now, let's don't get confused now. I can promise you, I didn't make all A's, and I was satisfied with B. But anyway, first of all, I want to say that you have got to trust people. And the Board of Education talked the other day, we cannot trust them. We cannot trust them. It's sad to say, because I'm a Pender County boy, you know. Secondly, I worked out of Pender County in New Hanover County for over 34 and a half years. A place called Invista, Hercules, that type of thing. I retired from there. There were friends of mine that moved from Rocky Point to Penderley area just so they could send their child to Penderley School. That speaks volumes to me. You know, if they get their way, we as Penderleyans are going to lose a lot of people because there's nothing there for them at all. That is why they're there. They're going to be moving out of, they're going to be moving out of Penderley to somewhere else. But, we need to keep Penderley K through 8. Because it would be detrimental to Penderley if it goes K to 5. Because that's just going to be a start of 5, 6, 7 years down the road. They're going to be they're going to be doing the exact same thing. The Board of Education, we're going to send them here, we're going to send them here, and Penderley will be shut down to 0. See it coming. And it's a numbers game, and all y'all know you can do a lot of things with numbers.
Appreciate your comments. We need to kind of hold it at 30 minutes.
Okay, that's
3
fine.
minutes apiece, so everybody can get heard. Appreciate your comments.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Katrina and Daniel Banks.
You know, while they're coming up, I just want to say, you know, a couple, 3 years ago, I was told by the members on the Board of Education that they were talking about combining West Pender and Burgall. And there was no plan to do anything with Penderley in that respect. And to hear about this last Thursday, I was shocked to hear about this.
We'll remind everybody, you got 3 minutes to talk, so everybody can talk. Thank you for coming up. State your name, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Katrina Banks. Since I got 3 minutes, 1.5 minutes is mine, and the other 1.5 minutes, could that be Miss Odessa Williams? Because they were coming in, they came in late. But our problem is the same problem. So if you want me to just present it, and then we got about 5 people in here.
He's the chairman. He
Yeah.
makes that call.
I'm sorry, Mr.
That's
Chair.
okay.
All right, yeah. You
Okay.
got 3 minutes, okay.
Okay, 1.5 minutes. What it is that this is involving the utility, Pender County utility. What has happened is that on Highway 1412, which is the new road, we have some property there, and when the water system came through, we went through phase 1. We went to the meetings with the utility people, and when the phase came through, after so many years it came through, the water came through. What happened was that the road that we were on, well, we was actually living on that road then. We don't live there now, but we was on that road. And what happened was the road didn't have an identified name, but I got identified taxes to pay. So they found me then, but they couldn't find me whenever the water lines went through. So what happened was the water lines came down Highway 1412 and did not cut off at Victory Way, which the road is now Victory Way. So that is, and we never was refunded our money. But I did talk to the maintenance department probably about 2 years ago, and they said, well, the utility people, and they said that we would, what we would do is what happened was the name of the road wasn't there. So when we bypassed there, they went to Alexander Road, which is the development right next, you pass one development and then you go to the next development, which was Alexander Road. Now their lines was ran through, but when I talked to the developer, he said that they had ran out of money now, so they didn't have any money to run those lines. He said, but I can come and put a meter, and you can take and have someone to come and dig a line and hit into Highway 1412, which is the new road. Well, I'm saying we were the ones that started it out, so why? I mean, like I say, when you didn't have any problem finding us when we had to pay taxes, but you had problems finding us when you had to put water lines, and we were the first ones that bought into the phase. We never got our money back, so I'm sure that money is sitting somewhere catching interest somewhere. And we're not the only one. Alexander Williams, Derek Williams, Odessa Williams, and Daniel Banks, they have investment in this. But we were some of the first ones that when that phase started on that new road, we were the first one that met with the utility people. But yet and still, we don't have the water lines ran. And then I asked him how much would it cost for us to run the water lines from Highway 1412 down to the front of the house that we have. And I mean, he didn't even give me a price on it. And I've tried to call him in the past couple weeks. I get no response back. So this is the reason I'm coming here. The utility, I talked to the secretary there. I guess she's the secretary. She passed me on to his voicemail. So when we talk about voicemail, I don't know where my message is going, you know. So I haven't actually walked there and talked to him, but like I say, I've talked to him on the phone a couple of years ago about this same issue. So we, as taxpayers, we want to know where we need to go to get something done, because nobody wants to take the responsibility. But when it come election time, everybody wants us to vote for them. And this is what I think about, that we don't get nothing done. We don't know where to go.
I'm not sure we're going to hash this out tonight, but I tell you what, if you'll give me a contact number,
My number?
a contact number for who you want me to contact, I'll come by and see you folks, or I'll talk to you.
That's fine.
We'll sit down and figure out what's going on, and then maybe we can come in and sit down with the utilities department and try to figure out
I have no
what
problem
we're going to do here.
Yeah, I just don't want to be ignored. That's the reason that we're here.
If that's okay with the board.
Yeah, she's in your district, right?
I'm not sure, it doesn't matter where they're at, I don't mind talking to them.
That's fine.
You leave, give me a contact number for somebody I can call
I
tomorrow.
have it. I have all of them. Got their cell phone numbers and all the numbers. They
Do
call.
you wanna do this?
I'll give it. No, I'll give you the numbers. I'll give it to you. They know. I got them.
No, it doesn't matter. I try to do what I can to help folks in this respect, and I don't mind going with y'all to the utilities department, and we'll figure out who's responsible for what and what we're gonna do going forward, okay?
I have, and we should probably
There's still a lot of people waiting, but I know that.
Someone
I
was
know.
saying that they were finna start the white stocking area, so I'm like, if they have.
That's the reason why we need to go in and sit down and talk with the utility
Okay.
people and see where they're going to next,
Okay,
to kind of see if you folks are gonna be involved in that.
that's fine with me.
Okay.
I don't have no problem.
And
with
Mr.
it.
Brown, I'll join you for that meeting too with them. I
Okay.
will.
We'll find out what's going on. Okay.
Ms. Banks, is this the contact information we should use to get up with you, what you signed in with?
Mr. Tate,
Is that your cell phone? Is that the cell number? I have the cell number, Katrina. I got you. Thank you.
Katrina.
Trust me, I have it.
Here. Patrick Gideons.
And for your information, it's not about elections, because I've been doing this since I've been on the board. Have I not, Mr. Tate?
Yes, sir, you have.
You know,
Yeah.
we've tried to take care of the utility customers if we can.
And I would also add that Mr. Brown joins me in my efforts, since half our district don't have water, is to be able to really fight for us getting water. He's been a strong proponent for us getting water, as well as getting a reduced rate for the citizens to hook up to county water. I'm so concerned, as he has expressed several times, about the rate being, it costs about $3,800, I believe, for folks to hook up for water in the county. And that's very concerning. So thank you, Mr. Brown, for helping us fight that fight.
Well,
Okay,
thank you.
all right.
Afternoon,
name.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. We really appreciate it. As you can tell, this is a very emotionally charged issue for us. It involves our children. I have 4 children. I live in Willard. So I'm very, very invested in this issue. There's a lot of issues that have come up and a lot more issues that will be brought to you and to your attention. And I know some of these issues probably need to go to the Board of Education. I just want to assure you, we will. There's been some talk about trust and some talk about a bond in the past. I want to give you some numbers. I want to make this a little more tangible to you. All right, May 3rd, 2005 was that last bond that they're talking about, $2,306,000. That is the amount of that bond that was allocated to Pender Lee. You want to guess how much of it saw its way to Pender Lee? Less than $500,000. Less than, I'm not stuttering, less than $500,000 made that to Pender Lee. We're seeing a trend, gentlemen. We're seeing a trend, and we're seeing a lack of things following through for Pender Lee. So the tax money that you're allocating with this bond to go through to the students is not making its way there. That's a very real problem. So yeah, there's a loss in trust. And that really is the bottom line for us. We're talking about being against this bond. We're against any bond that's going to adversely affect our children, and that's what we believe this would do. There was some talk about capacity in that presentation. The presentation mentioned that the forecasted growth by 2023 was 673 students. That's an increase of 140 children from today. 140 children. Now, you can't tell me that we can't increase Pender Lee's capacity to take care of 140 children by 2023. Now, if we were talking about 1,000 children, maybe that's different. But 140 children, I just don't buy it, gentlemen. I don't buy it. So the other question is, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the good graces of the Lord, there was some smack of common sense, and the board rescinded their vote to separate and sever Pender Lee. Well, you've got another logistical problem, and I won't get into the nuts and bolts of that, but you all realize we're already got the wheels rolling on this bond referendum, so what's going to happen there? And are we going to hear, well, we don't have enough time to readjust figures, or we're not going to have enough time to make that happen in order to get on the November ballot. So I don't think I'm using this word too strongly when I say we feel ambushed by this. Okay? We feel ambushed by this.
Appreciate your comments. 2 minutes is up.
Okay.
They've already talked. Appreciate it.
Mr. Gideons, if you don't, I want to make a comment here. It's all right. Like I said, I was a bit surprised last Thursday to find out that this was the course they were going to take. I had no idea it involved Pender Lee like that. And I'm not just saying that because you folks are in the room. But I was a little bit surprised myself, considering this is 180 degrees from what I was under the impression 2 years ago they wanted to do. Not only that, 2 years ago they knew this. That's what angers me with all of this, is that they come in here at the last minute, make this presentation, and yes, I'm going to be critical here. You come in here at the last minute and make a presentation, when we've got to what, July the 7th to make this decision on the bond? Is that?
Nope. You
Based
got to
on-
start it by July 7th.
That's what I'm saying. You got till July the 7th. We got to approve it this month if we approve it, correct? To get it on the
Well, it's
ballot.
a July 7th meeting based on the calendar that the bond council's provided.
So
Yes,
in order to get it on the ballot for the fall, we've got to meet that deadline.
Right, because ballots have to be ready to go out September 5th.
2 years ago, they held this same discussion. They wait till the last minute to come in. I feel a little ambushed myself here. So I just wanted to comment, because I know you got cut off, and we got to keep it at 3 minutes. I just wanted to comment on that.
Let me say something. Trey, let me comment on something too, on that note, Mr. Brown, because you were in some of those priority one meetings that you and myself had along with some of the school board members starting a year plus ago or longer. Many of you all heard this summer, I'm thinking, no, not this summer, it was this winter or earlier, some months ago, my going forward with several concerns I had with the school board as well as with the leadership of our schools. And all of you have known me most of all of my life, and you've known me on 8 years on this board. I have never gone public and condemned a board before or their leadership. And I did that for a reason that day, very emotionally charged. We were in meetings a year plus ago and asked the school board if they were thinking about doing anything to Pender Lee. I asked them specifically to give you all the same respect that they would give any other area of this county. And Ms. Brown, you were in those meetings because we met on the Pender Lee Burger Highway at that building for the school board. And I asked the superintendent and her staff to arrange, and her board members to arrange a meeting. Well, after about 6 months went by, it was clearly that I was being ignored, asking them to go out to the community to meet with you all. Then about a year went by, and then still no meetings were established. And that was quite alarming to me that folks weren't taking my comments seriously, that my citizens of our district had a right to know what's going to happen in their community. And that's when I went forward, because I feared this very issue was going to happen that's happening to you all right now. And originally, when I heard about this last Thursday, what happened, and it was a school board member who first called to tell me, and then several other folks shortly thereafter, immediately I thought about people were going to get upset because this was what I was advocating for some time ago when I asked some of you all to come to that meeting that night. I've heard it many times. We don't know why. But I will tell you, I have no reason to tell you something that's not the truth. But I do have an oath that when I find out something, to tell you what I need to tell you to be informed. And that's why I asked you all to come out several months ago when I thought there was discussion about what's happening now. Because I wanted us to attack this issue before a vote was taken. And having heard that to now, I am very upset about what happened, but am I surprised at what the school board action? Absolutely not. And I'm not going to sit and say I am surprised because I knew that I had a strong conviction that they was planning to do something with Penderley almost a year ago. But what I am very happy about is to see that Penderley community is standing up and saying to Pender County what I've said 8 years being in this seat, is that we're not going to just sit back and take and allow people to treat us anyway because we're on the northern section of the county. I applaud you. I support your efforts. 100%, and I will join in your efforts, and I do not care if it make anybody on the school board or this board or any other board mad. I was not elected to come to Burgon to gain friends. I was elected to come and do a job, and that's the oath that I take. And so I did that yesterday. But if you all want to, I do encourage you all, you are coming to the right source tonight to share your message. But I'm not taking up for the Board of Commissioners, but I want to make sure that it's clear because there are miscommunication going by as well. I talked to a school board member earlier this weekend, and it was very clear to me that they were trying to shift a lot of blame. You hear a lot of things that the commissioners can do and cannot do, but it was those folks who took that vote on Penderley School. The commissioners would not even be discussing this issue if they have never voted on the issue. I encourage you to go to the school board meeting on the 26th. I understand that's when the next school board meeting is. We need to go in big numbers, huge numbers, and state our opinion. So yes, if the school board listens to me, I'm encouraging our residents to come in big numbers and share our concern about what has happened over there in regards to Penderley School. Sharing it with this board tonight is certainly we're willing to listen and hear what your concerns are, but where we need to go back is to the school board folks and get it right with them. I believe it's going to be held at the former alternative school. What is that building called now?
Pender Resource Center.
Pender Resource Center. They do have a public comment. I'm going, and I'm going to have a voice. If you all go, I'm going. Yeah, I believe it's at 6 o'clock, Patrick, is that right? It's at 6 o'clock on the 26th, which is the Monday night that we have to vote on our budget here. So, gentlemen, if y'all can excuse me, I want to go and support our community and what's going on down there.
But that's,
is it on the? I'm following.
Saturday, the 28th.
the 23rd.
Let me look it up.
Can we find out?
If I may, I will see if I can't find it right here on their website.
And proceed.
we'll-
Okay.
If that's okay, is that all right?
Okay.
I got it.
Rossi Thompson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Rossi Thompson. I live at 3346 Porter Road in Curry. At the first meeting in February of this year, a petition was delivered to y'all asking for some help getting some local laws incorporated in the North Carolina wildlife regulations controlling hunting. At that meeting, there seemed to be some interest in doing something about it, but you wanted to handle it at a later date. Well, it's a later date, and hunting season starts in about 2.5 months, and we sure could have used some help on that subject. I'd appreciate it, and thank you for listening to me.
I believe I'm the one who talked to you originally on that, and you came to the board, and the board's probably gonna need a little refresher on this. So, do you mind if I give you a call tomorrow and we get something started back up with some conversation?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Thompson, what was your contact? Do you mind giving me your contact number now?
283-0923.
0923. I'll give you a call tomorrow. How about that? Because it looks like I'm gonna be here for a little while.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Penelope Trammell.
Mr. Thompson, if something happens, I forget you tomorrow, you get up with Miss Prison at 259-1200, and she'll give you my contact number, okay? I won't say I'll forget it, but I might forget it, but I'll try not to. Okay. Thank you.
All right, state your name.
Penelope Trammell. I am a graduate of Penderley School. I went on to graduate from Pender High School with honors. I graduated from UNCW with honors, and I'm currently maintaining straight A's, 4.0 GPA, in a master's program. I was well prepared for high school, but I want to talk to you about something that's on a bit of a less personal note. There's no doubt that I have an emotional attachment to Penderley. There is no doubt that I understand the historical value. But as a child advocate, and yes, an employed public speaker, I also understand the needs of the children. And that's what all of us need to be focused on. These members out here, that is what they are focused on, is the needs of the children. I found something very interesting in that bond proposal. How many of you noticed that when they spoke about building 2 schools over in the Surf City area, their math was off? Because what they're actually building is one conjoined kindergarten through 8th grade site. Think about that for a minute. So in their proposal, they recognize the value and the benefit of being a kindergarten through 8th grade community.
Well, and I'll add to that, the conversation I had with them a couple of years ago, that is exactly what they stated that they needed in that area, was a K through 8.
That's a very interesting comment. Thank you for sharing that, because that just adds to my interest in that situation. I'm glad he said that, aren't you? Because there was another statement made by Tom Roper that I wholeheartedly support. He said that the mission of that bond was to provide equal quality educational environments across the county. But they're building a K-8 school in Surf City and taking our K-8 school away? I'm not certain how they can qualify stripping Penderley of its 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as an action that maintains equality. Because what I see is that they are giving those benefits to the Surf City children while they are stripping them away from my children. My son just graduated 8th grade. For those of you who have questions about the value of an 8th grade ceremony, you should have seen the look on his face when he walked across that stage. I have a 5-year-old who's starting kindergarten next year. She looked at me with these big, gorgeous eyes and said, "Mama, am I going to get to do that?" I'm not going to lie to my baby. I wanted to tell her yes, but I'm not going to lie to my child. And what I said to her is, "Honey, that depends on the integrity of our leaders." I understand that we have the support and the ear of this Board of Commissioners, and I appreciate that. What we need is your support and your encouragement with going to the board with our concerns. As several members have said, we lack trust in that area. There seems to be this inappropriate stereotype that the Penderley district is unintelligent. The comment that small middle schools enter high school behind, I'm like you, I can't remember which gentleman it was that said that. I would like to see where those statistics came as well. Because in my work with the cultural competency project at Winston-Salem University, they've talked about the value of a small community. So already I have concerns about what they are considering the best for our children. Cape Fear District is gaining an elementary and middle school conjoined module. Surf City will be gaining an elementary and middle school conjoined model. So why plan to strip that away from my children? From our children, and from the children that are coming in the future. I'm not here to advocate just for my children. I believe in advocating for the entire county. But it seems this bond is very selfishly skewed towards certain areas. And I don't want to see those children denied that K-8 Surf City school. I would love for them to experience the same precious memories that we have. But it's not just about memories. I want you to think about developmentally appropriate practice here. Now, I'm in the early childhood field, so that's a catchphrase for me. What that means is doing what is right for the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development of the children. Our Penderley 8th graders have the opportunity to be role models and mentors. That develops problem solving, that develops leadership qualities, that develops an inner working sense of confidence and value that my son gained when he became a part of the student council. That is a developmental stimulus that the Surf City area will get, but our students no longer will. Another benefit of a K-8 module is the school system.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
appreciate
trust
your
that you
comments.
will
You do.
look
You gotta
into
let
it.
other people speak too.
Y'all, Penny's my classmate. Please don't cut my people off.
Jimmy, that's all right.
I would like to bring something to everybody's attention, though. Is that meeting with the school board the same night as our vote is on the
It
budget?
is the same night as our board meeting.
Well, what their website says, if I may. Is
Well, they
this-
say they're transparent, so I'm sure it's
Well,
true.
this is their calendar. It says end of year BOE meeting time, TBA, and it references the resource center, but I don't know. Their regular meeting was on the 2nd, and so we would need to follow up, and it says all day, so I don't know. It starts in the morning, it just says meeting time.
It says the
TBA.
26th, from what I found.
At 6.
It doesn't say.
That was my understanding. Can you share that, Butch? Can you confirm tomorrow with the Board of Ed what time the meeting is?
Yeah.
And then I'll disseminate that information to folks on Penderley. I'll post it on Facebook's site
My
tomorrow.
concern is with that if those meetings are taking place at the same time, you're going to be needed here to make a vote.
The meeting
I know
says
that it's
it's-
important to have the support like you're talking about, but there's a vote that's got to take place on that night that deals directly with that bond.
When is our meeting's the 23rd?
Wait a minute, so you're saying, that's what I asked,
This
are
is
the
20
meetings on the same night?
It's 26. This one is a different day, it's 26.
What they
Okay.
have on their calendar is the 26th, which would be next
Okay, I was
Thursday.
told the meetings were on the same day.
I was under the impression that's what I was thinking on Monday as well.
Again, I'm just telling you what's on their website.
Well,
and
this
their
may not be an issue at
calendar.
all then.
We can confirm that if you would, Butch, and let us know, and we'll disseminate that to the people.
They normally meet on the same night we do, but this particular, it says 26th of June, all day.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to have a conflict because
Appreciate your comment. I know Penny real good too. We got to try to keep everybody to 3 minutes, so.
Yeah,
keep
thank
our
you.
personal family.
Thank you for looking into that.
But I want to say this. I know overall in Pender County, Penderley has had some of the highest scores in the county. I know that. That along with the east side of the county. And there's so many people in the Burgo area wants to send their kids to Penderley here every day.
It's not they want to, they do.
Yeah.
They do. Right over here, at Kinston area, they come from all around.
Yeah.
I would share with y'all, I want to hear all of your comments, I really do, but I would share with you all, it sounds like our board where I serve at are educated on Penderley. It seems like all of them are champion for the Penderley project. I would hope that you are calling your Board of Education representative, Ms. Herron, and does she share the same concerns that I've shared with my board? Our board tonight is on you preaching to the choir more or less. We're on your side here. But I would hope that you talk to Ms. Herron so she can share the same message with her board as I've shared with this board a number of times. That's really where we need to be.
Donna Mint.
Not surprised.
I'm Donna Mintz.
What was a done deal?
K-5, the bond that you guys were going to vote to put it on the bond.
That's going around.
She said that was, the presentation the other night was the actual vote, that the school board of education had already made their decision, and that they were just making that presentation to you. And we were not allowed to talk, I talked to her after, in the hearing, immediately.
So let me get this, let me make sure, we got a courtesy visit, is that what we got? Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
She did not make this comment to me, but she made it to another mother that whether or not the bond is passed or not, that 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will be removed.
That's very concerning.
Well, and
Very.
folks, and I want to say this,
Kenneth Lanier did say the same thing.
I-
There was no guarantees that the middle school would stay.
I know, let me just say this, I trusted each one of you telling the truth. They've not done that to us. The only thing that I will say, I know that, the only thing that I will say is that, we're listening to everything that you're telling us, and I believe that you're telling the truth here. I can't sit here and respond a lot to something they've told someone that someone's told us about. You understand what I'm saying? So I would like to hear those comments come straight from them, because that you know.
I know Miss Robbins. She don't mind.
Down to 30 seconds, we promise.
No, I'm
We're gonna have
not.
some order here.
Chester, don't you do
And what
that
was your
wrong.
name again?
I'm Donna Mintz.
Donna Mintz?
I teach 8th grade at Penderley, but I'm also, more importantly, I feel I'm a community member. I started teaching at Penderley 18 years ago. 13 years ago, I married and moved my family to Penderley. We are now part of the community. Not only am I a teacher there, but I am a member of that community because I wanted my children to receive the morals and the ethics that are also taught in that community. I have a student who is a rising junior at Pender High who went to Penderley. My son, after his freshman year, was number 1 in his class. After his sophomore year, we're not real sure where we're at. I know at the middle of the year, we were number 3 in the class. We're still waiting to find out what number he is, but he is a product of Penderley School. When he left Penderley School, one of the pieces that they produced, or the educational piece that was produced by the Board of Education Thursday night, said that Penderley students would receive more high school classes. My son left Penderley with 3 high school classes. That's almost a semester ahead of other students that were entering high school. So he was not behind. This past weekend, he attended NC State University at the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Conference. He was the only student from Pender County at that conference. Once again, he is from Penderley School. I have 2 other children. One will be going into the 6th grade this year. One will be going into the 4th grade this year. If this piece does happen, my son's 8th grade year and my 3rd son's 6th grade year will be spent at a different school. My 9-year-old went to Karen Rouse Thursday night and stood right here and had me hold his hand and asked her, why can't I graduate Penderley School with my classmates? She, in turn, looked at him and said, excuse me. I told him to ask her again. With tears rolling down his cheek, he asked the question again. She looked at him and told him she was doing what was best for him. As a mama, I stayed quiet as long as I could and said, how? You do not know him. She then looked at me and told me that I was asking, or he was asking, an unfair question. How is my child's question unfair? How is my child's feelings unfair? I should not have to answer a question that I don't know the answer to myself. If they decided this, they should know the answer to why they're doing this. She then turned and looked at him and said, I'm sorry, and turned and walked away. My child's question is still left unanswered because telling me that she's doing what's best for him and she does not know him, is not valid for me. I want to keep everything just like it is. I understand the Penderley community, we don't like change. We want to keep our K-8 school. Renovations, we were told, will cost too much to keep it a K-8 school. I was invited to the community meeting. I did go on that Wednesday night. It was never discussed in that community meeting that it would even become a K-5 school. I specifically said at the end of the meeting, I wanted it to stay K-8 and year-round. We asked what was already on the table, and they told us they did not have any plans of the right now. This was just to get some ideas. It is amazing to me that 2 weeks later, we have more than just ideas. We have a bond.
Ms. Smith, I got a couple questions for you.
Go right ahead.
You did go to the meeting on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, May the
How
25th,
were you notified? How was
I received a phone call on Monday from Debbie Jones at the Board of Education.
Was it nothing public, like email sent out?
No. It was by phone call only.
It was by phone.
Both by phone call only, you received your invitation. And I'm sorry.
Okay, I know your time's up. I want to make a comment. I'm going to ring the bell for the Board of Commissioners. Not only do we advertise our agendas in the newspaper, we want folks to come out and participate in the meetings. That's the reason we move public comment to the top. So you could be here before we vote on an item. That's important to us on this board. Mr. Tate helped me accomplish that years ago so that and it was a tough sell at the time, was it not, Mr. Tate? But it made sense. We put public comment at the beginning so that if we're going to vote on something, you have the right to come in here and talk to us about it before we vote on it.
And that's what we wanted.
I know.
But we did not have that information.
We advertise our agendas in the newspaper so that folks can know what we're going to vote on in case they would like to be here to comment on it. That way the citizens are informed about it. It's not a lot of explanation, but there's a little comment on there about what we're going to vote on. You can call your commissioners and talk to them about those items. It's no secret how to get up with us, but you can get up with the county clerk's office and they can tell you how to get up with us. But that's important to us. That's what you call real transparency, folks, is when you're encouraged to be a part of the system. Everyone has a good idea, at least once in their life, and I think everybody should be given that respect. It angers me to find out they make these kind of decisions, and yes, I'm gonna criticize again. It angers me to find out that people would make these kind of decisions without even having the community as part of these groups. And it doesn't take a lot of painful preparation to go into a community and let them know that you're going to have a meeting about something of this nature so you can hear from the folks in that community. Are they not representing the parents and the voters out there? Are they not representing these folks, or are they just representing, I'm not sure who they're representing. Let's tell you, who are they representing?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I take offense at, and I'm going to be very vocal on this, is it seems like every time the issue of Penderley School is discussed, it's made a very, very concerning issue with the school board. Now, I'm notified that last week, and I wasn't here, and many of you all was here, I did not know about that meeting to the very last moment, and I already had a work obligation. And I'm not just coming to a call meeting unless there's a purpose to that meeting. But I do understand that they had their Raleigh-based attorney firm that they have hired here with them last week. And I want to know, why did they have to have their attorney firm here to listen to our citizens speak from Penderley just because they were sharing their concerns? If they go to other communities, do they take their attorney with them from Raleigh? Do they hire an attorney firm to go with them from Raleigh to a community-based meeting like they did with you all last week? I think that's very unfair to the taxpayers who pay for that, and I think that was a more an intimidation move. Every email that the superintendent emailed me on almost when she and I had exchanged much concern over these issues. She
copy her attorney firm on it. And I'm not so sure why her attorney firm out of Raleigh has to get involved over an issue that concerns our school. And as a taxpayer, I'm concerned to know how much was that attorney paid last week from Raleigh, who they have hired to come to listen to these meetings. I don't know the purpose of that. I don't think that happens when they go to other communities. Why are they intentionally making this so difficult or intimidating to my folks? And I take take that extremely personal that they hired an attorney firm to come and listen to their comments if they did that last week. And I'm told that they did, correct?
Correct.
Again, I want to thank y'all for listening to us. Okay.
I heard from Ms. Robinson yourself, and you said that you was at the meeting. I want to get this clarified. One of the reasons was that they could not afford the cost to run.
They could afford the cost to fund a K-8 school. If they had funded a K-8 school, it was going to cost in the hundreds of thousands per pupil. And they did not, they just said it was going to cost too much. They did not want to spend that much money per student. But they've not really spent any renovations on 75 years.
And honestly, I went to a meeting, and staff was at that meeting with me, and I think Mr. Williams were at the meeting. This was been several months ago when the architect met with us that the school hired. And it was my understanding that the cost would come in less to renovate Penderley School as a state-of-art facility. I mean, a wonderful facility, than build a new school. And I thought that was the move that we were on to, keeping it K-8 and making significant renovations to that school. And I'm not so sure what happened to those plans.
And even Ms. Robbins asked about the different options that we even were presented 2 years ago when the contractors came out, and they said they weren't even on the table.
I'll be honest with you, I thought the controversy was going to be over, do they build a new school or do they renovate the old school to be a K through 8? Do they build a new K through 8? Do they renovate the old one? I thought that's where the controversy was going to come in at. Not that we're going to eliminate the idea of a K-8 altogether.
And that's what we were under the
Well, they have combined the issues, and that's very smart politically, because now the focus have changed from building a school to keeping it K-8. And I can understand, if I was on their side, why they probably did that. But you all are too smart and know what's going on with that.
Amen.
They know that this has changed the focus now.
Right. But again, thank you. We appreciate you. That's when we knew, when we read in the paper.
Well, your commissioner of the district, who has to vote on a bond ultimately, along with these boards, were not even notified.
It would just been respectful, at least, if they would have come to at least let the teachers of Penderley know this is what is going to go on the proposed of a K-5 school, instead of us reading it in front of the Pender Voice.
That would seem a little more respectful, wouldn't it?
Amen. But thank you again.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Okay, who's next?
Agnes Pridgeon.
Hi, I'm not a speaker either. I'm just a parent and guardian. I have 5 grandchildren that live with me, most of them with disabilities. They're going to be mainstreamed out of that school in 5 different schools. They won't be able to follow one another. I've got Zachary that'll go to Burgall Middle. I've got Emma next year that will go to West Burgall. Kyle will be in Penderley. And I'm not real sure where my 14-year-old will go. So they're going to be spread all over Pender County. They're not even going to be able to be together. My one question is, what does Burgall Middle have to do with a paraplegic little boy that they can't take care of? He's got a lot of medical issues that you can't even imagine. I've got a little girl that's a mute. She's voluntarily mute, but she's mute. Penderley has brought her alive. You cannot even imagine. The first 2 years at Penderley, she talked to nobody. Now, to a lot of people.
Wonderful.
I've got a little boy.
Wonderful.
That is 8 years old, that is so rambunctious that just about every teacher in that school will call him down because they know him by name. They all walk up to Zachary and they'll talk to him. He knows people. He knows voices. Very happy child. When you put him, I was made to put him at Penderley to begin with, and I fought it. Sure did. For the first 5 months, he had seizures every day because it was different. Different noises, different sounds, different people. If he goes to Bergall Middle, same thing. He was in the hospital twice with respiratory pneumonia. He aspirates, he gets pneumonia, he's in the hospital, he's in intensive care. People don't know how to feed him, people don't know how to take care of him. He's got a walker coming. He's a paraplegic, he's not supposed to walk. But with the help of the teachers at Penderley, they have him in a stander every day. He stands on his own with assistance. He's got, like I said, he's got a walker coming. He's got a voice, he's starting to make noises. He's starting to eat. That all comes from a family at Penderley. That doesn't come from me or the doctors. That comes from everybody in here working together as a family. And when you take that family away, you lose something in that. You lose the ability to have everyone look out for everyone else and to know everyone else. I don't think there's one person in here that I don't know their face. I may not know their name, but I know their face because my kids, and they're my kids, I have custody, know them by name. And they'll see them in a store and they'll run up and hug on them and love on them just like their family. And if you take away K through 8, you take that away from them. And you take that away from a lot of other kids that are coming along that way.
Thank you very much. Our 3 minutes is up.
I want to thank you guys for listening. It just
Thank you.
tugs my heart.
I also have a son in his class as well, which is severe now. They added that class probably 2 years ago with the approval of the board. Now they're saying they're going to take that class away and move it to Bergall Middle. And
That class is not safe, but 2 years ago, they made it mandatory that he go, and they said it was safe, and now they're saying it's not safe.
I live 1 mile from the school.
I live 2 blocks.
I talked with Mrs. Uthman for an hour the other day. And she does not know what's best for my son. Being on a bus for an hour, riding, is not what's best for him. They think they know what's best. These type kids need love, a lot of love. It's not all about ability. They have done perfectly fine in that module where they are.
Can't imagine what they've done for these kids, I'm telling you.
Thank you for your comments.
When you walk in there and you see one of them standing, or you see another child come up to help or talk to them and they smile at you, they'll make your world.
Bob Townsend.
We're not trying to be cold. We gotta limit the time if we can, you know. Hey, Bob, how you doing?
George, I won't take but a few seconds. I'm a parent. It's got a child teachers out there, teacher assistant, grandkids. Talked about transparency. Transparency is something that the Board of Education has no idea what that means. If they come to the last minute and spring this on you guys, as well as all these folks, they're awfully damn jealous of what we got at Penderley right now, apparently, because the other schools don't have it, and they must be getting a lot of comments from the other schools to try to, hey, knock down Penderley so we can get some of the good stuff that they have right now. So the only thing I would ask, as a parent of a person that's out there, as a grandparent, is for 2 things. One, before anything takes place before July 7th on this bond referendum decision you have to make, you get the superintendent, who is one of your employees here.
That's right.
In here to answer the questions that have been brought up, why this is taking place. You get the chairman of the school board, Ms. Harry, or Ms.
Authority over.
Sorry?
I just want to make sure everybody understands.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it. I was not aware of that.
But the bottom line
But we
is,
do fund the schools.
bottom line is, we ask you not to vote and approve this bond referendum right now under the current way it's written. It is detrimental to Pender Lee.
But let me tell you something. When I was a little kid, my Aunt Donnie, you know Donnie and Bobby live out there at Pender Lee. I used to go visit her parents, which were the Marks. I believe their last name was Marks. So I spent a little time in Pender Lee years and years ago. Folks, I believe Pender Lee is just a little jewel we have here in Pender County. And I hate to see that destroyed. I do, and I wish our school board would listen to you folks. At least have a meeting with you all and hear what you got to say. So I would encourage you, as Mr. Tate has said, go to that meeting and let your voices be heard. It can make a difference. And I hope if they're listening, and I know some of them are listening to this meeting, I think if they got any heart in them at all, they've got to at least sit there and listen to you.
You got to have some integrity. And there's a lack of integrity when you come up and pull a stunt like this, so close to the time you have to make a decision and not even have the decency to let the general public know it's taking place, what's taking place, except reading in the newspaper.
All of us, I would say this, all of us as elected officials, we're here to serve the people of the county. That's what we're here to do. If we have issues, the voters generally let us know what direction they want us to go. That's the reason we have phones at the house. That's the reason we have emails. It's so our constituency can reach out to us and let us know about these things. I do not understand how hard it is, why it's so hard to be transparent. And Bob, I gotta say, I hear your frustration. I agree with you. I sympathize with you. I wish we as elected officials, including the school board, could do a better job of listening to folks. And I hope that can happen in the next meeting.
I hope so too. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I apologize for saying the word damn.
Mr. Attorney and County Manager, so I get some clarification.
Yes, sir.
This bond is supposed to approach us when?
The first vote on it would be July the 7th. And that vote would sort of start the process. Given the short time frame, we're going to have some things, if the board was to move forward, there would be some things going on some parallel tracks, but we've got to meet with the local government commission.
So July the 7th, they supposed to be coming to us and say this up there.
Right, they will have
like
to adopt.
Like they did the alcohol thing permit for Tops.
Well, right, and the school board will have to adopt a resolution asking the Board of Commissioners to put a bond for X dollars on the ballot in November.
That's what's in front of it. Okay, I got that, okay.
That vote, obviously, that starts it.
That would not be the end of it. There would be additional votes.
So it got to
but that would
pass
be
the first
start.
step.
Yes, sir.
So the vote will not be in next Monday's meeting?
July
with-
7th.
when we vote on the budget?
No, sir.
No.
We don't have a resolution from them yet. Unless it came in since last Thursday.
No, I have not seen a resolution.
And we told them at the meeting on Thursday that they would need to adopt that resolution and get it to the commissioners before, because they have to make the request that the commissioners then put it on the ballot.
Bottom line, we've got to have it before July the 7th.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask this question, Mr. Attorney. Can this board, since I'm hearing there's a lot of opposition to this, and I really want to speak strongly to it, can this board pass a resolution asking the school board to reverse their decision regarding Pender Lee School?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what I want to know.
You can't dictate to them what to do.
I understand it. I have no jurisdiction over them. But I want to know, can we pass a resolution basically condemning their decision?
I would love for them to bring it to us since they said it's a done deal. I'd like to see this done deal.
No, I want it go on official record that we as a board of commissioners condemn their decision. I want to know that I have support on that.
You got it.
Yeah. But that's.
I would. I want to ask you a question.
There's a lot of questions I have on it now.
I want to ask the attorney a question. The bond. that
Yes,
they're
sir.
proposing is not a done deal yet. They're
No,
proposing.
No, sir.
They're going to send a resolution to us to adopt that bond or
Yes.
to put it on the ballot. Put it on the ballot, correct?
Yes, sir.
Without the commissioner's approval, the bond doesn't happen.
Doesn't get on the ballot.
Doesn't
Not
get on the ballot.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But to be all honest on that, we still need to go to the school board meeting and share your concerns, because the school board can still make a decision to move kids from grades 6, 7, and 8 without coming back before this board. They still have that power to do that without us. So we can.
Make room for them, though, that's one thing.
Mr.
I mean,
Chairman.
I understand that, what you're saying, but
You talking about people that I asked a question about Common Core curriculum, and I don't even think one of them knew what I was talking about. Okay?
So you
21st century school. You think finding space is going to be a problem?
Mr. Chairman, could I ask if the resolution that Mr. Tate has brought before you tonight, would that be possible for you folks to approve that resolution tonight, to go on record opposing what they are doing as far as with this bond referendum and the way it's...
I'll be glad to add it if we need to.
Let me clarify.
For the chairman to be here.
Let me clarify one thing. Bob, let me, along with the transparency this board has, advertising the agendas, all the good things that we like to brag about, we also put a rule in place, and there was a reason for this rule. And it was that you have to have a unanimous vote of the board just to add an item to the agenda. You see, we didn't advertise to the public that we were going to vote on this tonight. So there may have been other people that would have wanted to come in here had they known we were going to actually take that position and make that vote. I'm not against doing it. I will tell you publicly, I will support that vote, and I will vote in favor of it. But let's do it the right way. Put it on the agenda, and then we'll put it to the vote.
So would that be on the agenda for next Monday night?
So we've got a choice here. Either this board tonight could have a unanimous vote to add it to the agenda.
Right.
But it was never published in the newspaper. Or we put it on next agenda to actually make a vote on that. And that way everybody's on the up and up. We're not doing anything behind anybody's back. We're being very open with it. I don't see a week from now anyone on this board changing their support for it.
You're showing transparency.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying everybody will vote to approve it, but it's placed on the board in a legitimate manner, and we didn't, and we followed our own rules.
I think that's all we're asking.
Well, I'm in favor of that, and certainly I don't want to do anything unethical, but I know we have added items to the agenda before, so I'm not suggesting do anything unethical at all.
But if you want to do that tonight, we would have to take a separate vote to add item to the agenda, and it would have to be a unanimous vote just to add it. And if you gentlemen want to do that tonight, it's up to this board whether we do that or put it on.
I would say this before I make that vote, because you have my support already, but I appreciate you all coming in here, because I have the same understanding Mr. Brown said about, I thought it was the remodeling the building, not this issue here. So I'm really glad I have done clarification of that, and appreciate your time and all that for coming.
There's nothing illegal about us taking this up tonight and making it. I just like, I don't want folks to think we're doing anything.
We'll go, Mr. Attorney has something.
And I'm just giving this by way of information. I don't know that we would get it advertised between now and next Monday.
It comes out tomorrow night in the paper. Post, we had put it last week.
Then we'll entertain. Mr. Tate, would you like to make the motion?
Be my pleasure. I know I'm gonna be condemned. It's fine.
The motion to add this item to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Brown, thank you for your great support here. I make a motion that we add the item to the agenda that states that this board endorses a resolution to I don't want to say condemn, Mr. Attorney, although that's what we're doing.
How about request the Board of Education take another look at this and listen to the community on this subject?
We request the Board of Education to rescind their decision in regards to making Penderley a K-5 school and allow it to remain as a K-8 facility.
Okay, and with that support, I'd love to second that from the eastern side and say we support that.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, that's your motion to add the item to the agenda tonight.
We got a second?
Chester just made the second.
Are you all for it?
We'll take a vote, voting to add it to the agenda. Now, we have officially made this a vote on the agenda. Now we can move forward with actually the resolution. So,
All right.
Mr. Tate.
On your point.
And I will not be checking emails anytime soon. I will move, Mr. Chairman, that this board endorse a resolution stating that we are officially asking the Pender County Board of Education to rescind their decision to make Penderley Elementary School a K-5 facility, that it remains a K-8 facility.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
Wait a minute, we got to vote on it first. Don't clap yet. Don't clap yet.
All right, all for this resolution? All right. Four, it's unanimous.
And for the record, Mr. Brown is very correct. Normally, we try to use much caution in adding items to the agenda, but I also will review in the time frame. We're on a very tight time schedule, and I was concerned that if we go into the Board of Education, that we want to have that document to carry with us, and timing is very important.
All right.
So I respect your comments there, Mr.
Well,
Chairman.
after I realized that the attorney, we're talking, there's not enough time to actually advertise it on an agenda, so what we did tonight was the best thing we could do.
Thank you for your comments, and I don't know if you all know, but we have a Duke University attorney leading us. Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Do we have any other?
Hey, Jimmy,
And I asked somebody,
I think he's a local boy, too. isn't he?
He is.
if somebody would make sure
Have
we
you other comments?
call David.
Those are all the sign-ups we have, Mr.
That's
Chairman.
all the
Make
ones we
sure
have,
we
okay.
call Commissioner
We have one
Chairman.
more thing to do, comments from the county attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything this time. We may have some stuff for the next meeting.
That's all anybody have. No
County
closing
manager.
time.
I wanted to give an update. There was a lightning strike over the weekend in the Hampstead Library, and it opened back up today at 12 o'clock. We did have some damage on some of the routers and switches. That's been taken care of. I've been working on it at the present time. Also, AT&T had some problems, and also there was some problems at the new jail, but have not attributed to any electrical strike. It was something to do with AT&T connection, as well as the courthouse has some issues with the administrative office of the court connection, not the county.
You're talking about the old original jail across the street from the courthouse?
Yes.
The one we just renovated?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. That's all I had.
That's all you have? Okay. All right.
You had a problem with the
Take it.
courthouse?
I have no comment, Mr. Chairman.
Administrative office
Brown?
connection.
Okay.
You know, I don't know whether to share this suggestion tonight or not. I will tell you folks what I did share with the chairman, how I would like to see our school board. I know there's a lot of folks in the room tonight that are teachers, and they have talked about supplemental increases. My position has been all along that I would like to see our own employees with the county get a COLA increase. They've not had one since 2008. It's been a recession. It's been tight. We're trying not to increase taxes on folks if we can help it. But I will tell you all this. When we as a board, I think, found out that there's $500,000 a year basically going in a fund balance for the schools, it made me a little angry to think that supplements could have been something you were receiving before now. It is not the commissioner's fault all the time not getting the money. We thought we were giving them enough money. Find out there's $500,000 a year going in a fund balance. So we feel a little betrayed too. Anyhow, so I said it. It's out there. I'll hear about it tomorrow. Thank you, folks.
So in other words, what he's saying there is that if they wanted to give the teachers a raise, they could have did that themselves already without coming back to the taxpayers.
They could have simply come to us and said, hey, look, we've got money going in a fund balance. It's extra money just in case we needed it. Do you mind if we use it to give teachers supplements? I don't think there's a board member up here that would have
$4.5 million.
disagreed.
Close to $5 million, I think.
Well, they had $5 million in 2000. On and how to us, tell us what their needs are. We assume they're taking care of their business, and we do what we can to help them. Okay?
Mr. Ward, do you have anything? Okay.
Exactly right, Bob. Why don't you report that for us in the morning? We'll write letters to Scott thanking you.
I don't know if I'm supposed to even be here.
No, we thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's what America's about, getting to the point you can bring your opinion to the commissioners, and we appreciate you coming. And I'm sorry.
Ms. Pridgeon would like to say a few words.
Okay.
Well, my granddaughter graduated Saturday. She didn't go to Penderley, but I'm just as proud. And I thank Mr. Brown and Mr. McCoy for attending.
Amen.
Well, thank you for calling some of us out on the spot. I want you to know that I went to Tops of High that night and Pender High that morning.
Yeah, but Jimmy was with us the whole weekend, basically up until the Trask thing. But Mr. McCoy, I appreciate you coming out to Trask.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. And Jimmy, I should say, Mr. Tate.
Coming out to
Jimmy.
You know, I enjoy going to the graduations. We try to actually try to go to all the graduations that we can. It's important. If nothing else, it shows respect to the families and to those students. It says, look how far you made it. We hope they're going further, but I think it's good when commissioners go out in the public. They attend these graduations because it is about respect to the student and to the parents. I know when I've got one left to graduate next year, and it's like closing a chapter. You know, you look at these kids and you remember how they were when they were just little things, you know, and then you're seeing them grow up and they're leaving, and you can't, you no longer, there's folks smarter than we are now. They're smarter than we are, so they've got to lead their own life. But I like to watch the parents during these graduations and see how proud they are, and so we appreciate the invitations to go to these things. And anyhow,
I want to thank Mr. Brown. I always consider you Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the gentleman in the peach for standing with Penderley tonight. I know he looks familiar, and I want to really thank him.
I believe he's running for county commissioner, isn't he, Mr. Tate? From the Hampstead area? Yes. Good to see you, Mr. Pete Meyer.
He's a Penderley son. That's right.
Mr. Attorney, no closed session.
Mr. Pete Meyer is running for county commissioner, by the way, this fall's election.
Do we have a motion to close?
We have a motion, Mr. Chair, for the adjourn the meeting to our next regular meeting today.
Which will be next Monday at 7 o'clock.
What you mean next Monday? 7 o'clock.
Yes, next Monday.
Next Monday.
We vote on the budget next Monday.
The public hearings are moved till next Monday. Yes, sir.
Okay, next Monday.
And the budget. And the audit.
Is that at 4 o'clock?
No, it's at 7 o'clock.
So we're not meeting until, are we meeting at 7 o'clock or 4 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
So we don't have a 4 o'clock meeting?
No.
Right.
There's one thing I wanted to mention tonight about the sheriff's department, you know, about paying the overtime. Just need to bring that up.
No, I'll talk to you about it.
Very well, and I have those facts that help my remarks.